the 10 best examples of virtual reality. In my book, Extended Reality in Practice, I talk about how tools like augmented and virtual reality are transforming our world. So what I want to do in this video is to give you my 10 favorite examples of virtual reality in practice. The first one comes from a hotel, the One Aldwych, a luxury boutique hotel in the center of London. And they've created a cocktail, which is a blend of the 12-year-old Dalmore whiskey, a cherry liqueur, a grapefruit juice, chocolate bitters and champagne. And what you do when you order this drink is you put virtual reality goggles on and they will transport you to the highlands where this whiskey is made. So you float over the highlands, you float over the barley fields, you see how the whiskey is matured and made, and then you return back to London, and then when you take your VR goggles off, the cocktail will sit in front of you. And this for me is such a great example of a really immersive experience, an innovative idea of bringing things to life and connecting people with brands. The second example is journalism. The New York Times, for example, used virtual reality to enable people to visit refugee camps, for example. So they had an article about the conditions in a refugee camp and what it would be like, but you can only read so much. If you put your virtual reality goggles on and actually experience it and feel like you're talking to people and you're roaming around by yourself, it brings it to life. It makes it much more real and much more engaging. Another really cool app is the virtual speech app. So lots of people don't like presenting in front of an audience, and even trying this out in front of a few friends is sometimes really nerve-wracking. So what you do with the virtual speech app is you put your virtual reality goggles on, you have a massive audience and you can try it and you learn to overcome your fear and practice your presentations. Another example is virtual travel. So companies like TUI and Virgin are now enabling you to visit places and hotels and resorts before you go there. And you can now visit lots of cities virtually, putting virtual reality goggles on. This also brings me to virtual school trips. So you can now put VR goggles on and they don't have to be these really expensive goggles. You can use Google Cardboard that simply uses your phone as the screen, so they cost a few dollars. And you have the VR experience and you can visit VR museums or art galleries that would be very difficult for most schools to organize. Virtual reality is also used by the police and the military in their training. So if you think about putting a really extensive battlefield together, or a police trying to storm a building, this is really difficult to do in the real world, really easy to do in the virtual world. And these things are becoming very real, so people get the real training experience. Another great example of how I use virtual reality is for relaxation and guided meditation and yoga. There's some great apps out there that really help you to relax, which takes me to the next one, which is diagnosing medical conditions. So you can now use virtual reality, because they have little cameras that point inside, to monitor vision impairment, for example, or even diagnose certain mental health conditions. And you can even use this for therapy. There's now you can use virtual reality for exposure therapy for anyone that suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, for example. Another great example comes from a company that makes shoes and apparel called Tom's, and what they did in their stores is they gave customers the ability to, or the possibility to, transport themselves to Peru to, with their own eyes, see the impact on one of their campaigns, which is like a giving campaign, 1 for 1, where they support local people that make some of the raw material for their shoes. And again, this connects people with brands. And my final example comes from Sotheby's, the luxury real estate company that now gives some of their high-end clients the ability to virtually visit some of the houses that they might want to buy. So instead of flying across the world to see these for real, you can simply put your virtual reality goggles on, you can walk around those houses, explore them, and you can even virtually stage them. So you can say, if I'm looking at a house that was decorated like 10 years ago with old furniture, and you really like modernist furniture and modern environments, you can simply change it in the digital world and experience what the house might actually look like once you have renovated it. So hopefully these are really cool examples that get you excited about virtual reality. There's so much more. Check out my book, Extended Reality in Practice, or subscribe to this channel where you can find lots of other videos, or head to my website for articles on this topic.